Hello there, my name is Mohammed Vahed and I'm part of the dynamic Khamisa Vahed Public Speaking Academy, your number one public speaking specialists. Today we're going to be discussing things to do before the day of the presentation, on the day of the presentation, and after the presentation. What do we do before the day of the presentation? Firstly, it goes without saying that we have to prepare, and prepare. As the saying goes, if you fail to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And how do you prepare? There's various ways. You have your speech ready. You could present your speech to friends and family members. You could stand in front of a mirror at home and you could practice your speech. Or you could have a video of your speech taken out and you could play it back to you, and that's one of the ways, or those are some of the ways of preparing for your speech. The second thing that you can do before the day of your presentation is visualize the day in your mind step by step. What will you be doing on the day? You'll be going to the venue. Are you going to be using your own laptop or someone else's laptop? The projector, will it be there or not? And you must also project positively that you are going to be a success. The third thing that you could do before the day of your presentation is investigate as much as you can about your audience. You might ask, why is this necessary? Well, the more we know about our audience, the more dynamic our speech will be. We will know at what level to pitch our speech. We will know who the audience is, whether they're professionals, whether they're males, they're females, whether they're foreigners, whether English is their mother language, etc. So these are some of the things that we could do before the day of the presentation. Now, what do we do on the day of the presentation? The very first thing and the cardinal rule is that we need to go to our venue early. It's pointless going to the venue, rushing there last minute, being nervous, all flustered. It does not help at all. Once we get early to the room, what we should be doing is setting up the room in advance. There might be things to our dislike. There might be a podium on the stage which you might not want to use. So all those things must be arranged with the organizer before you start speaking. It is most unprofessional to start moving around the furniture just before your speech. The next thing you should do is determine whether the audience setup is to your liking. There might be pillars in the way which might be obstructing the view of your audience. So you need to make sure that the chairs are placed properly. You could also notice sometimes that depending on the number of people you are expecting, there might be far more chairs in the venue. Get the organizers to just keep the sufficient number of chairs for the people you are expecting. What we don't want is a venue which is half full. The third thing that we could do on the day of the presentation is attend the talk that might be given before your own. You'll be surprised at the number of pointers that you could pick up. You could see whether the audience is awake or asleep, whether the audience is cooperative with the prior speaker. Also, the prior speaker might say something that you were going to say, so you can avoid saying it. Another thing that you could do when you get there early is to ensure that the stage is to your satisfaction. It mustn't happen that you go there expecting that you're going to be speaking from the front, addressing the entire audience, but when you get to the venue, the stage is in the center of the audience, which means then you'll have to be turning around to be facing the audience. So you should be aware of that. And finally, very, very important, is you should be aware of the type of microphone that is available. Now, there's 4 different types of microphones that could be used. The first one is the handheld corded microphone, which you notice is on a stand. Now, that's not recommended, but the simple reason is that if it is on a stand, then that is where you'll be limited to stand in front of your audience. You might want to use the entire stage. You might want to walk amongst the members of the audience, but you'll be restricted. The second type of microphone is again the handheld but cordless microphone. Now this is better than the first one. However, the problem with this microphone, as I'm indicating, if I am holding the microphone in my hand, I cannot use this hand for gesturing. The third microphone is the one that is attached to your lapel. And you notice that the cord is then linked to a transistor box which is in your pocket. Now that's a very good one because your hands are free and you could use it for gestures. And the fourth one is the head microphone. Again, the advantage of the head microphone is that it frees up your hand for purposes of gestures. So these are some of the things that you could do if you go to your venue early. Now coming to the third point is, what should you do after your speech? Two things to bear in mind. Firstly is you can have your speech evaluated. If we are really serious about public speaking, then we would want to improve every speech. And how can we improve? If we speak to the audience, especially those who we might be aware of, who we know, and ask them whether they've got any comments to make regarding your speech. What you could also do is, prior to the speech, if you have some friends in the audience, you can hand out an evaluation form and collect it at the end of the speech, and this will definitely help you in improving your speech. And the second thing that you should do after your speech is stay. Do not leave immediately. Try and stay as long as possible. Some international public speakers will stay at the venue for an hour or more. And the reason for this is simple. There might be people in the audience who are afraid to ask questions openly. So they'll come up to you in privacy, they'll be able to ask you questions. Another important spin-off of that is that it's good for marketing yourself. It's good for networking. So these are the things that you should bear in mind. What you can do before the speech, before the day of your speech, what you should do on the day of your speech, and what you should do after your speech. I hope you've enjoyed this segment. This is Muhammad Wahed signing off, part of the Khamisa Wahed Public Speaking Academy, your #1 public speaking specialists.